welcome or welcome back to Lydia Lost the Plot. I am Lydia and I am here today to share with you my Women's Prize predictions. I am so excited about this video. I have never done a video like this before, and I am super excited about talking about these books because I've really enjoyed reading the shortlist. I've only got one more book to read, so I'm hoping that I've read enough of it that I can summarise or at least have an idea about how good or not a book is. But I have really enjoyed this year's Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist and longlist. I think it was really well curated. I think that the judges have made quite a diverse selection of choices. I think there are some there that maybe I don't agree with, and we'll come on to that, that maybe weren't what I would have put on there. But this is what I love about the Women's Prize, is it's a way to kind of get you to read stuff you'd never pick up before or you'd never even think to pick up. So I like that about the Women's Prize. I'm constantly surprised by what they pick. I like the fact that every year it's a new panel of judges, it's a new chair, and we get a different vibe and a different feel every single year, which I think is so cool. And yeah, so I was determined this year that I would try and be a more active part of the prize, so to really engage with the books, the content, the authors, and I feel like I have done that to a certain extent. I particularly focused on the shortlist this year because I had a lot of reading for work and for a certain prize at work. I think that's all I'm allowed to say. But I spent so much time kind of divvying up my reading that I was sort of like a bit worried that I wouldn't get to it. So I made sure that I would read the shortlist. So I'm here to talk you through it today. Now, I'm sure that you feel quite overwhelmed by the amount of Women's Prize stuff being thrown at you, and I totally get that. But I do think that it's nice to lend your voice to these discussions, because there are some books, like when I read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, so many people were saying that was a bad book, and it won the Women's Prize, and it was phenomenal. It was so good. It was, I mean, it was groundbreaking and funny and thought-provoking and so brilliant with its use of like fantasy tropes, and it was just a wonderful book. So that again is a book I would have picked up had it not been for the Women's Prize, and also had it not been for some people on BookTube, on Bookstagram, telling me that this was a book worth reading. So hopefully this might give you an idea of what to get to first. It is a predictions video, so I'm willing to be completely wrong about all of this, about the order in which they come in. But I am super excited. So I have got, hang on, it's like, honest, this pile is massive. Hang on. I mean, it's not that massive. There's like 1, 2, 3, 5 books. It's not that big. Slight little delay there while I went and grabbed another one of the books, because I did forget one. I mean, it wouldn't be me, would it, if I wasn't slightly disorganised and chaotic. You've come to expect this now, right? But I'm going to talk you through my Women's Prize predictions. So in 6th place, I think we will see Restless, Dolly, Maunder by Kate Grenville. Now, the reason why I think this will be last is because it's the book that I've seen the most divisive comments about. I've seen so many people say they either didn't enjoy it or that it kind of lost the plot slightly, like me, that it kind of let itself down in the end. Sorry, that's just Cassie walking underneath the camera. And that it didn't live up to expectations. A lot of people have said that it didn't deserve its place on the shortlist. I might be very much one of those people. But I do think that it has a place on the long list. I just don't know whether, given the calibre of the other books, whether or not this really deserved that place, or whether or not it felt a little bit like, well, Kate Grenville, she's a great writer, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'd like to know. I would love to have been in the room when they were discussing this book, because it is one of those books where I just think, how? Why? You get me. So that is in 6th position. The next one I think will be the Wren. This is a proof copy, so it's a bit of a cool cover. I really like it. It's so beautiful. I loved this book. I actually got the chance to interview Anne Enright for the podcast I used to work on, and it was amazing. And she's just so funny and witty and brilliant, and that all comes through in her writing. I would put this higher in my personal list, but I do think that this will, I just think it's very literary, and I think that looking at what the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction have done, looking at what I think the Booker are going to do, I think we're leaning away from that style. I also think that although Anne Enright has been nominated so many times for it, I don't think that they're willing to just give it to her because she has been nominated that many times, if that makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see where this comes on the list. Personally, I don't think it'll hit high, but we'll see. I do know that the Women's Prize won't give me a rundown of where they came. I would like to know, but there you go. Next up, I've chosen River East, River West. Now, this is a phenomenal book. It's so good. I have a humongous crush on the main guy in it called Lu Fang. I mean, unashamedly, like, in love with him, even though he's completely flawed and a bit of a twat. This is such a great book. It's a great coming of age story. It's fantastically written. It's really well plotted. The timelines work in synchronicity with each other. Nothing about it felt jarring. Nothing about it felt overused or overdone or like I'd heard it before. It's so unique. And I really enjoyed it. I found myself wanting to get back to it when I was reading through it, and I think that that's something that for me personally is something that I always look for in a good book. If I want to get back to it, and it's something that is pulling my attention, then there's something good about it. I do think it won't win, and I think it won't win because I think there are other narratives on the shortlist that are slightly more attention grabbing, if that's the right use of the word. I think they pull focus slightly, and I'm worried that River East, River West will get lost in the pile because it is quiet and it's delicate and it does its own thing, and I don't know whether or not that's going to be actually detracting from the overall feeling that people are going to get from the shortlist, and whether or not it might just be one of those books that gets overlooked. It would be a real shame for that to happen, because I have not really stopped banging on about this one. I think it's so good, so well written, and I'm really excited to see what else this author writes, because I think that, I don't know, there was just something so quietly brilliant about it. And you'll know what I mean as soon as you start reading it. As soon as you get that little bit in, you'll know what I mean about this. It's kind of reserved, but with this crackling energy underneath. It's fantastic. It really is. So I thoroughly enjoyed that, but I don't think it will win. Next up is Brotherless Night by V.V. Ganeshanathan. And I think that this is a contender. It's definitely in the top 3 for me. I've heard so much buzz about this as well. People have just not stopped going on about how great this is. It won, oh my goodness, what did it win there? Did it win Nero? I can't remember now. It's just won a prize. I'm really bad. I'm so bad. Considering I'm a bookseller, I'm so bad at remembering things like that. But I know it has topped some lists. I know it's been featured on a lot of shortlists and long lists. And it didn't come out to a lot of fanfare, to my recollection. I don't really remember it. I remember it coming out, but I don't really remember it making many waves or anything like that. It seems to have been a bit of a grower. And I really enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it. I thought it was such a wonderful book. And I'm thinking that we will be seeing this definitely making the rounds. I don't think it'll quite win. I know the reason why I don't think it will win is, again, because there are 2 other books, which I'm sure you've surmised, on this list that I think will make it and will pip it to the post. Let's just say that. I'm trying to be really careful about what I'm saying. I'm not trying to disparage this book at all. I think it's a brilliant book, and I'm so pleased it was on the long list and the short list, because it's such an interesting and heartbreaking novel. And I don't know, sometimes you just want to get stuck into something that's going to make you like bawl crying, and it's one of them. It is. But prepare yourself, because it is emotional. Like, honestly, don't read it if, you know, you're not in the right headspace. I don't know if you can hear my stomach rumbling. I've not had my tea yet. Just having my brew break. I've got a mocha today. I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't look appealing. It tastes nice. But it's like one of them ones you get in a little sachets. Bougie, I know. But yeah, mocha. Get me. The northerner in me is spinning in a grave. So moving on. I digress. The book that I think is worthy of winning, but that I think won't quite make it next, is Soldier Sailor by Clarke Kilroy. Now, I know I know that this might win, or quite possibly has already won. I know that, and the thing is, for me, and the reason why I would say I don't want it to win, is because for me, I struggle with books about motherhood. I'm a mother myself. I find reading about motherhood a bit like a bus driver's holiday. Like, I've sort of already seen it, done it. I don't know. I find it difficult because people always fall into similar tropes, and they always go down routes that I know like the back of my hand, and it bores me. This book didn't. This book didn't bore me, but it didn't wow me the same as everybody was saying it was going to. And I think that when we talk about a Women's Prize winner, I think it has to be more innovative. It has to have something else to it that makes you come back to it, that makes you think this is what I think the Women's Prize is. And there was just something that didn't quite do it for me. However, objectively, I think it might win. It's incredible in a lot of its aspects. I think that it's telling a story that a lot of people haven't heard, and I think it's a book that has made significant impact on our culture. For me, I hope it doesn't make it to be a winner, but I'm glad that it's shortlisted. I sound like I'm a bit down on this book, which I'm not. I think that I've seen, sorry, that's just Cassie jumping on the bed. But I think I've just seen I've just seen better ways of doing this. Sorry, I had to take a short break there while Cassie jumped all over the bed. Are you still here? Cassie! Why? Why? I don't know why I bother trying to do anything with her around. She's an absolute nightmare. Anyway, moving on. So, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out what I think is going to win this year's Women's Prize, and that is Enter Ghost by Isabella Hammad. I think it's going to win, and I would be overjoyed if it did. It appealed to all of my sensibilities. The actor in me, the writer, the reader, the creative. It had so many of these aspects, but it also is a huge look at the diaspora that's going on in the world, and about the current events that, you know, boggle your mind. And, you know, this is an uplifting channel. This is a place where I feel like you can come and escape some of the difficulties of the world. I hope that this is a place where you can find solace. So I try not to dwell too much on the difficulties that are going on, but I do think it's important that we highlight them and talk about them, and that books like this are being written and being highlighted, because it's so important to put these authors up and to basically listen to what they have to say. So I hope it wins, and I don't just hope it wins because of the author and because of what's going on in the world. I hope it wins because it's a damn good book. It's bloody brilliant. It's fantastic. And I think that a lot of the time we can get caught up in the politics of things and the context of things, but you know what? It's a cracking book. It's a book I want to recommend to everybody, and it's not just recommending it because I think people should read this and because, you know, oh, it's, you know, it's on lists and it's very important, blah blah blah. That doesn't matter. It's a cracking read. You can read this by the beach, you can read this on holiday, you can read this at home, you can read this in the library. Like, this book, it's a book for everybody, and I think everybody will find their own slant on it and will take away what they want from it, and I think that's so important. I really enjoyed this book, and I think it will win the Women's Prize, and I'm gonna die on that mountain. But I'm gonna hazard a guess at the fact that Soldier Sailor might pip it to the post, but I think this will win, and I hope this will win, for a myriad of reasons. But it's so good, and I really am enjoying it. I am only halfway through, so you'll have to forgive me for not having finished it. So you never know, in the last half it could be like terrible, but it really isn't, and I just know. I think you can get a feel, can't you? Hang on, I'm trying to grab them all. Oh jeez. Oh, it's a nightmare. So drastic. But yeah, I think that it'll be nice to see what happens on Thursday. This video is going to go live Wednesday, and then the next day, the Thursday 13th of June, we will have the winner announced, and I am super excited. I will be watching it live, and probably screaming along with the authors. It's such a fun and an exciting event, and I think it'll be really nice to sort of see all of the winners. Well, all of the book, I think, because the non-fiction's being announced at the same time, isn't it? Which is super exciting. And so it'll be nice. It'll be more of an event, I think, with both of them being announced. And I don't know, it's just exciting. I just love stuff like this. I think some people don't like prizes, and I get why. Sometimes they're a bit arbitrary, sometimes it's a bit, you know, elitist, sometimes they can be a bit boring. But you know what? I really just enjoy them for what they are, which is, it's nice to get accolades every now and again. It's nice to have recognition, but it's not the be all and end all. Some of my favourite books haven't won a thing. Some of my favourite authors haven't won much. and you know, it doesn't mean that anything is any more worthy because it has been nominated for a prize, but I do think it helps us to direct our reading into avenues we wouldn't have gone to before. So this is my predictions. I do believe that Enter Ghost by Isabella Hammad will be the winner. Excited. But I think this has been a fantastic shortlist. It's been a wonderful Women's Prize year. Ignore Cassie again. And I've really loved getting stuck into these books, and I hope you guys have too. If you think something else will win, or you have different ideas about this shortlist, then please leave them in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know who your winner is, because we all have our personal winners. And then the ones that we might not want to quite win. But I think that it'll be great to discuss it with you all. So I hope that I found you well this week, and that you are gonna join me and watch the Women's Prize, and that you've enjoyed this video. So thanks, and